My point of telling you guys this is because emotional flashbacks don't go away when the narcissist is gone. They can get weeded into your relationships, your next relationships. If you don't handle them, they can make connecting with people hard. So it's not just about getting toxic people out of your life. It's about working through the wounds that were left behind. And emotional flashbacks are one of them. Now, the awesome thing that happened as I was seeing these things take place in my life and realizing, because, when you're with the narcissist, you don't got time to see what's going on inside of you. You're always like alert with what's going on. So it wasn't until after, when I was seeing these things, I was like, what's going on now? I need some attention with this stuff that's coming up in my body. The awesome thing was that I got to discover what this was. Okay. And the interesting thing was how many tiny little emotional flashbacks I started noticing. We tend to think emotional flashbacks, big, huge things. But as I was recovering, I was like, okay, I was noticing these little things. For example, I was conversing with my friend's husband one time, and we're talking, and all of a sudden I felt like a child. He seemed like a very authoritative figure. And whatever happened, it was very slight and it was very small, and no one outside of me probably noticed. But inside, I was like, why am I suddenly feeling like there's this weird, like, dynamic taking place? I was having a mini emotional flashback. Something else, putting down a boundary, saying no. That uncomfortableness that comes up, that's often the residue of an emotional flashback. Seeing my children upset if I put down a boundary with them, that discomfort was an emotional flashback. And so why that's so helpful to understand was, by working through the little ones, you strengthen your muscles to work through the big ones. When we've been through trauma, I don't know about you guys, but we tend to want to tackle like the biggest, most uncomfortable, most overwhelming thing in our life. And it's like taking ourselves from the bottom of a mountain, trying to fling ourselves to the top, only to slam against something and come flopping back down because it's too much of a jump. And so with trauma, less is more. Slower is faster, because the nervous system takes time to let things soak in. So this month, I wanted to kind of work through and show you guys how I was able to start with those little ones and work through emotional flashbacks so that your nervous system lets up on the reins of your life. Because basically, when we're stuck in emotional flashbacks, our conscious mind is not in control. No one chooses how they act, think, or feel when they're having an emotional flashback. Your unconscious, your protective self, is making all those choices without your conscious consent. And it can really feel, I don't know about you guys, but it can really feel like you don't have control of your life or your persona. So it's about starting to get that back. So before we dive in, because we're talking about emotional flashbacks, talking about these things can cause us to have an emotional flashback. Hearing other people's stories can wake up trauma inside of us. It's kind of like the, what's it called? Now my brain is going into a blank. What are those? Tuning forks. Okay. You hit one tuning fork, and if another one is at the same, if it's calibrated to be the same, you just have to hit one and the other one starts vibrating. So if we have trauma inside of ourselves and we're talking about trauma, guess what happens? We start feeling it, and we can start getting really uncomfortable, and that throws us into an emotional flashback. So that being said, we want to be responsible. It's really important to have some grounding tools with you. So for example, I have essential oils. It can be a perfume, something you can smell that just brings you into the present moment. Because when we're having an emotional flashback, the brain confuses past and present. And we want to be able to talk about these things with one foot in the past, but one foot in the present as well. We don't want to get zapped back to the point that it's that uncomfortable. So having something you can smell, if you don't have an oil, a soap, a perfume, a lotion, is wonderful. A hard surface, this is just one of my, from my salt lamp, but having a hard surface that you can touch, a soft surface, it doesn't matter, a material, something that you can touch that, again, gets you in your body and in your senses, is really important. So if everyone can just take a second and make sure you have something so that if you're getting uncomfortable and your mind is going to a place in the past, you're able to reground yourself in the present.